welcome to Table Tennis Philosophy. Got a very different type of video today, and you might be surprised. The title is Racism in Table Tennis. And yeah, hang in there. It may not be exactly what you think it is. I'm going to start off by recognizing that it is today Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and has special meaning to me and anybody that lives around here. We live in a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia, the birthplace of Dr. King, and it's something that I think about frequently. And if you live in Atlanta, you'll probably have more time to reflect on the civil rights movement than you might in other places. And let's just go ahead and get this out of the way first. Racism isn't a uniquely Southern United States problem. I think people that have lived in Atlanta might be surprised to find that it's not what the stereotype is from other places in the United States. So I want to go ahead and say that. And I'd also say that I had a friend one time who made the claim that we're all prejudiced. We all have maybe a little bit of racism in us. At the time, I thought that was probably just a way for him to excuse what might have been underlying racist tendencies with him. But although he really never showed any racism or prejudice that I could see, but he said, we're all prejudiced. And looking back on it, I think he was probably onto something. And to kind of make a point of this, and we are going to get to table tennis in a minute, so hang in there. I had a cousin of mine who claimed to be the least racist person you would ever meet, and that in many ways she is. Yet during political season, she made the statement, we've got to get rid of all the old white men. And I took exception to that. I said, I have nothing against old white men, sort of relating to them more and more every day. And she is indignant, said, well, I do. And it's like, wow. The least racist person I know just made the most racist statement I've probably ever heard in my life, hitting on not just race, but age and gender at the same time. And in a way, it's humorous, and in a way, it's something to give you pause. And to talk a little bit about some of the big countries that I have some connection to, also happen to be countries that are big in table tennis. And sort of going along with the last story, I'm half Swedish. I've spent some time in Sweden. I have Swedish relatives, very liberal-minded place to be. But I think we wouldn't have to spend too much time in Sweden or around Swedish people to realize that there's a real feeling that there's nothing better in the world than to be Swedish. And there's probably a thin line between being proud of your country and being slightly prejudiced. And I certainly don't want to, paint with a broad brush on any country, but I certainly say I've had a similar situation in Japan, which is one of the most closed countries. And I love Japan. I've spent time there. The Japanese people have always been very friendly to me. My son lives there. I have, grandchildren that are half Japanese. But if you really think about it, there's always a little bit of prejudice that we all have. And I think if we fail to admit that, then we're just fooling ourselves. Had a situation, let's throw the Chinese in there too, because I had the pleasure of being invited to a large dinner at one of the table tennis clubs here that was a grand opening or a welcome for one of the Chinese coaches. And it was like a Chinese buffet. Everybody brought some food and had a great time. There was some table tennis, good food, good fellowship. And one of the things that came up, I was conversing with one of the other people there, and I just in passing said how much I had come to grown Indian food, and he looked shocked, just stunned, and it was like, no. Chinese food is clearly superior to Indian food. I was like, well, again, you love your country, you love your culture, you love your food, but sometimes we just inadvertently throw other cultures under the bus, and I think it's humorous in a way, but I think it's something we all should be aware of. Now, table tennis. So I've pretty much made the case that you're going to find some racism, some prejudices anywhere you go, and table tennis is not going to be any different. But at least one thing I can say definitely positive for table tennis is you'll almost certainly be exposed to other cultures, certainly in the United States. And I just made a quick list of people and countries represented in my very small club here in the last week. And just off the top of my head, I've had people here from India, Haiti, Nigeria, Hong Kong, Korea, France, and the Middle East. Not to mention all the South Georgian players that have been here whose relatives go back a few generations. So it's quite a mix, and that's a positive. I'm going to finish off with just one quick story about when I was about 20 years old and just married, first job, and I was loading trucks next to a guy named Otis Howard, and he turned out to be my first black friend, and I turned out to be his first white friend, and we were working side by side at 4 o'clock in the morning for a couple years. And I can tell you, at 4 o'clock in the morning, working with somebody who's kind of in the same boat you are, you share a lot, you learn a lot, and I found out his experiences were somewhat different than mine, but not as different as I would have thought. And at least in that moment, we were best friends for those few hours every day for a couple years, and race really didn't seem to mean much. I think I gave a lot of thought to the things that I would share in this, and I'm careful to try not to offend anybody, whichever direction you're coming and whatever your thoughts are on this. But I would say, as we look at Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is, I think, a good holiday, and I'm in favor of all holidays, honestly, so, but it's a good time to reflect on where we've been, where we are, where we're going, that we're all a little bit prejudiced, and some of us are a lot prejudiced, and some people are extremely racist. I don't know, that maybe take some self-examination, but it doesn't have to be something that we absolutely dwell on every day. And I hope that we can look at it with the proper perspective and really think about it in the way that we should. And like I said, it's something I think about frequently and have certainly thought about a lot before I made this video. All right, so I don't know if that's as much about table tennis as you'd hoped, but it's a good way to celebrate this Monday holiday, and I do a video just about every day, so you're going to get a lot of different stuff. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.